Hey everybody, this is going to be an introduction to rearranging simple equations. So before this you should have been able to solve equations, and what you'll find is generally this lesson just builds on those skills. So just as a quick recap, I want you to solve the following equations and write your answers down, and then we're going to look at what the difference is between solving and rearranging. So pause the video, have a go. I'm going to work through these. If you're very confident with solving, then you can skip this bit and just go to the next part of the video. So I'm just going to work through these. So if we're solving this, we're going to take away 7 from both sides. So that's going to give you x is equal to 5. Question 2, we are going to take away 4 from both sides of the equal sign. So that gives you 3b equals 11 minus 4, which is 7, and then we're going to divide by 3, divide by 3, so you're going to get b is equal to 7/3. Leave it as a fraction, there's no need to change that to a decimal. Question 3, we have unknowns on both sides. We're going to take away or add the least unknown, so the least one is the 1a. So to get rid of 1a, we're going to take away 1a. Take away 1a. So this becomes 1a plus 7 equals 10. And then we're going to take away 7, take away 7. So this becomes a equals 3. Okay, next one. We've got 5x minus 3 equals 6 plus 2x. So we look at the least unknown, which is positive 2x. So we're going to take away 2x, make that into a 0 pair. And that will give you 5x take away 2x, which is 3x, minus 3 equals 6, and that's a 0 pair there. So we're going to now add 3 to both sides because we want to isolate x. So this becomes 3x equals 9, and then divide by 3, divide by 3. So x equals 3. Okay, next question. We have unknowns on both sides again, but this time 2m is less than 4m, so we're going to take away 2m, take away 2m. We get 5 is equal to 2m minus 1. We're going to add 1 to both sides, so this becomes 6 equals 2m, and then we're going to divide by 2, divide by 2. So 3 is equal to m. And then we've got 2 more questions left, so let's go to question 6. Now in this case, x divided by 4, I want to isolate x and do the inverse of dividing by 4, which is multiplying by both sides by 4. So 4 times 3 is 12, and x divided by 4 times 4 is just x. So that's your answer, 12 is equal to x. And then the final question, we are going to do 2y minus 3 over 3 equals 4. So get rid of the denominator by multiplying both sides by 3. So that becomes 2y minus 3 equals 12. And then we're going to add 3 to both sides. So that becomes 2y equals 15. And then we're going to divide by 2, divide by 2. So y equals 15 over 2. Leave it as a fraction. And that is your answer for that. So I'll just scroll up a bit so you can see that. So 15 over 2, that's it. Okay, so this is just key skills for solving equations. Now let's go into what the difference is when you want to rearrange. So what you'll notice here is this is an equation you can solve. This is on the right is another type of equation. What's the same, what's different? So you probably spotted here, we've got one variable. Here we've got 2 different variables, x and y. So we had variables on both sides before, but they were the same variable, the same letter. In this case, they're not the same. So let's see what happens if you're asked to solve for x. Well, we know we're going to take away 5 from both sides here. So when you rearrange this, you get x equals 21 take away 5, which is 16. That's your answer. If you try the same thing here, you'll obviously notice that we're not going to be able to take away 5 from y and then simplify it. It's just going to stay as, well, that's a 0 pair. This is just going to stay as y minus 5. And this is the key difference between solving and rearranging. So you may not have just a nice number as your answer. You're going to have some other type of expression on the right hand side. So x is equal to y minus 5. That is it. And we'll see slightly more complicated versions of that as well in the questions that we do. So let's try another example here. So if you know how to solve an equation, it's just the same skills, except your answer is not going to be a nice number, nice simple number. So in this case, if you're asked to solve this, pause the video, have a go, and I'm going to show you how to do this. So if you were able to do the starter, this will be really straightforward. You're just going to add 2 to both sides. So m equals 7 plus 2, which is 9. Have a look at this, and this time it says make m the subject of the equation. That basically means isolate m. So you want to isolate m on either the left-hand side or the right-hand side, whichever is easier. So we're going to isolate it on the left because we're going to add 2 to both sides, much like the equation on the left here. So this becomes m, that's a 0 pair, is equal to n plus 2. So this is a rearrangement, and we've made m the subject because it's isolated. Let's try another example here. 5 is equal to z minus 2. So it says solve to find z. So we're going to add 2 to both sides. So this becomes 7 equals z. Now that's a 0 pair, so we don't need to write that. Now if you do the same thing here, same idea, make z the subject. You want to isolate z. Now there's a y there, a negative y. So instead of adding 2 like in the example on the left, we're just going to add y on the left hand side and the right hand side. So 5 plus y equals z. That's your rearrangement. That's your final answer. We can say z is the subject because it's been isolated onto the right hand side. Okay, some more examples. So we're going to solve this just like normal. So it says solve for x. So let's take away 4 from both sides first. So 2x equals, now 16 take away 4 is 12. And then we're going to divide by 2, x equals 12 over 2, which is equal to 6. We're going to follow a similar pattern here, but this time, instead of 16, you just happen to have another variable, an m. So we want to isolate x because we want to find x in terms of m. So, or another way to put this is make x the subject. So in order to isolate x, the first thing we're going to do is take away 4 from both sides. Take away 4. So 2x is equal to m minus 4. Now I still have a 2x and I want 1x, so I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2. Those cancel out, so I get x equals, and on the right hand side we just leave it as it is because we've just simplified it. M minus 4 all over 2. Now we can write this another way, but this is valid as a final answer. We could also split this up into 2 fractions. M over 2 take away 4 over 2. Now 4 over 2 is just 2, so this is another way of writing the same thing. Both of these answers in red are equally correct. And you can see we've isolated x, we've made x the subject. Okay, so isolating a variable is known as making that variable the subject. So in this case, you might be asked to make x the subject. Well, in order to do that, we're going to take away 5p from both sides. So let's do that. Take away 5p, take away 5p. That gives us x is equal to 10 minus 5p. So x has been isolated, or x is the subject. Another way to put this is find x in terms of p, and you can see why, because we've got x written in terms of another letter. So x, both of these boxes are equivalent to each other. Make a note of this in your books if you need to. So let's look at a quick simple mistake that people make sometimes with equations. So let's say you were asked to rearrange this and you wanted to multiply both sides by 2. Decide if this working out is correct. Pause the video and think about it. So hopefully what you spotted is not correct. When you multiply by 2, you have to multiply everything by 2. So this is how you should be showing your working out, as I've been doing in the previous slides. We put the whole thing in brackets and put a 2 on the outside, put the whole thing in brackets and put a 2 on the outside. So 2 lots of r over 2 is just r. 2 lots of 10 is 20. 2 lots of s is 2s. And 2 lots of negative 2t is negative 40. So what I've written in blue is correct. What you see down here is not correct, because this person has only multiplied the 10 by 2 and then forgot the s and the 2t. So just be careful when you're multiplying both sides of an equation. Use brackets. Always use brackets, because this is a silly mistake if you make that. Okay, so let's try some fill in the blanks. Pause the video and try all the questions, and then I'm going to show you the answers. Okay, so in this case we can see we are adding 3 to both sides. So you get z equals y plus 3. In this case, if we're taking away p, well, that's the inverse of plus p, so there must be a plus p behind there. So that's p, and then 6, take away p is just 6 minus p. When you divide the whole thing by 2, that should actually be slightly longer. That should be that divide the whole thing by 2. So that's just going to be p there. Change the color just to make that correct. And then here we are taking away 4 from both sides. Then we get 3z, that's a 0 pair. And then negative 5 minus 4 is negative 9. And then we're dividing that by 3. So 3z divided by 3 is just z. And then you've got both of these divided by 3, which gives you w minus 3. And then the last example here, something times 2 gives you z. Well, it's going to be z divided by 2. Z divided by 2 times 2 is z. And if we're multiplying by 2, we're going to have to put the whole thing in brackets with a 2 on the outside, 2 lots of y and 2 lots of 3. There's your answer. Okay, so that was a fill in the blanks, just rearranging. So you'll notice in all these cases we've made z the subject. We've isolated z. Have a go with the following questions. Try all of them. They're all different to each other and they all require specific skills. Pause the video, have a go, and then I am going to show you the answers in the next video. Smash the like button.